Hello, my name is Yaron. I'm the music director for the Center for Spiritual Living, and would love to start this morning with a beautiful song. You'll remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You'll forget the sun in its jealous sky as we walk through the fields of gold. So she took her love to gaze a while upon the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? We'll forget the sun in the jealous sky as we lie through the fields of gold. So the west wind moves like a lover's soul upon the fields of barley. Feel her body rise when you kiss her mouth among the fields of gold. I never made promises lightly, and there have been times I've been broken, but I swear in the days still left, we'll walk through the fields of gold, as we walk through the fields of gold. As we walk through the fields of gold, as we walk through the fields of gold.
Good morning, Jerome.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well too, thank you.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you for joining us from Orlando, Florida to bring us beautiful music today.
My pleasure always.
It's so great to have you here to kick off with that lovely song, The Fields of Gold, to remind us that we always have an option to how we see things in life and to know that there is always that golden essence waiting for us to help make it manifest in life.
Yes, I know the theme for this month is light, so you can see light in all kinds of ways, right?
It's so true. That's true. I think of the alchemist who turns the darkness into gold. And so let's use that as a baseline for today.
That was
Great.
great.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I know you have some wonderful music for us throughout the service. So let's all give Yaron a great welcome and a thank you for being here, and know that he will be back to provide great music for us later. And a good morning to each and every one of you. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. It's Sunday morning if you're joining us live, June 26th in the year 2022. We come together as a spiritual community to remember not only who we are as divine beings, but to celebrate that light that Yaron was just speaking of in each and every one of us. That light that is the essence of the divine. We are here as a community and have been for over 30 years now to practice and to teach and to engage in the philosophy and faith and way of life known as the science of mind. It's a teaching, as I said before, that is a compilation of all of the great philosophies and spiritual ideologies of the world that was brought together in this concise, beautiful text called The Science of Mind. It's the study of the essence of the human, the being of light that is one with the all inclusive, great, creative, universal power, that infinite power of life that gives life to all, that is the only thing that there is. That even in times such as these, where there appears to be something quite contradictory to this perfect creative power of life, that it's all that there is, and anything contrary to that is either our experience of it or the way that we use it in a way that propagates something that is other than good. So today we welcome you into our spiritual home, whether it's your first time or you have been one that comes frequently and regularly. Know that you are welcome here. We celebrate all genders, all ideas, all expressions, all sentient beings as we honor that light of life that exists in and as each one of the expressions of the divine. For many years on our handout bulletin on a Sunday morning, there was a quote from Dr. Ernest Holmes that I love so much that I think speaks to exactly what we believe and practice here, which has Spirit has placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. And so today, as we come together, let's honor that you that exists by means of you and by means of me. We like to begin that honoring process through the act of namaste. Namaste is something that in its most modern incarnation is the God in me honors and acknowledges the God in you. In its origin, namaste, which is a Sanskrit word, means I bow to you. And as we do this practice of bowing, let's remember that it's not an act of supplication. It's not an act of surrendering to something that we consider a deity. It is an honoring of that light that is within each and every one of us. And so let's each come together right now as we take a deep breath in and place our hands together in prayer position, placing them on our chest, taking another deep breath in as we lean forward and say out loud, Namaste. I bow to you, honoring the light in you, the power, the presence, the thing itself. May today be the day that we each use our stamp of individuality in a way that not only propagates good, but continues to reinforce within the individual an acceptance, a belief, an acknowledgement that we are enough just as we are. There's nothing to be added and nothing that can be subtracted from us that could impact our worth, our power, the presence of the divine that exists within us. We open our services on a Sunday morning with a ritual called Calling in the Light. I've chosen today to not use any slides on the screen, just let it be your own and me and all of you. As we know, it's been quite a wild week in the US of A, and I'll talk about more of that later today. But as we open our service with a ritual called Calling in the Light, I'd like for us to remember that the purpose of this ritual, whether we've heard it for the first time today, hearing it, or if we've heard it hundreds of times before, but to hear it anew and to remember that the purpose of it is to draw into our gathering this morning a more conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. And so we perform this ceremony, this lighting of the candle, which I shall do in just a moment, to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. And so fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. I know that may be difficult to do today, knowing that we've been in such a week of great religious-driven ideology. But I invite us all to take a deep breath in, and as we exhale, remember that healing takes place by going to that place where we are all connected. And so I light a candle today to represent the light within all. If you can see that flame. And most importantly, to honor women. I'd like to share a ritual and invite you to participate in it with me that was written by a colleague of mine, Dr. David Alexander. And as we bring into our mind's eye women, those we know, those that we don't know on a personal basis, but knowing that there has been an impact that has unfolded in our country today, and certainly in the minds and hearts of our sisters, our mothers, our friends. I invite you to receive this ritual, this blessing. Beloved women, I cannot know and do not know what it is to walk your walk. I do not know what it is to live your experience. I do not know what it is to be shunned, quieted, dismissed, disqualified, or ignored. I do not know what it is to routinely not have my story believed. While I do not know what it is to have these experiences, I do know, and I invite all men in the room to heed this call with me. I do know that I can take responsibility right here and now to create a safe place in this spiritual community and to say clearly and directly. And I invite each and every one of you to repeat after me, should you desire. To the women of the world, I see you. I hear you. Your voice matters. Your presence matters. You matter. So together may the vibrations of this affirmation and the meditations of our heart invoke a healing. And may this healing move out into the wider world and make a difference. We have indeed called in the light. We shall declare this the healing light. And so I invite you to take a moment and think of anyone, including all women, that you would like to silently put into the light of this healing flame, affirming that right now all shall experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. We shall anchor in this ritual with your own coming on the screen and taking us through our song, Calling in the Light. I invite you to sing along, and he will tell you which lyrics are to be repeated after him.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the Please repeat after me. I am love. I am peace in my heart. I am free. I am spirit. I am soul. All together we are whole. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Oh, love. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Calling in the light of love. Calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
Thank you, Yaron.
Thank you.
So as I place the candle back here and Yaron gets prepared for the next song to sing, I invite you to keep in your mind's eye women. As I turn and put this candle here, I look at this photograph of beloved women in my life who were of an age that fought for Roe versus Wade to be made law. I see over my shoulder here as well children in Africa that I spent time with building schools with in Malawi and knowing how difficult their life is and not having the freedom of choice with their body often. And so today is a somewhat dark day in our world, and my goal and objective for us today is to not move into a state of spiritual bypass, to move just to high road thinking, but to honor where we are and to still look at it through a metaphysical lens. You'll hear more about that as well. And so today our coming together in this space of a virtual reality, even though we can feel the presence of each other, is one so that we may have some comfort, so that we may feel the connection with each other and step into the healing that is for us, which is a revelationary process of remembering who we are, while at the same time grieving what is taking place on our soils and the impact that it's having on the collective of humanity. So when Yaron is ready, he'll come back on to take us through a song that will further this process. Welcome back, Yaron.
Thank you.
So share with us what you're going to sing, please.
It's a beautiful song called Be Glad. And I think the first line speaks for itself in these days of confused situations. So I can't wait for you to hear the rest of it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. In these days of confused situations, in these nights of a restless remorse, when the heart and the soul of a nation lay wounded and cold as a corpse, from the grave of an innocent Adam comes a song bringing joy to the sad. Oh, your cry has been heard and the ransom has been paid up in full, so be glad, oh, be glad. Every day that you ever had has been paid up in full by the grace of the Lord. Be glad, be glad, be glad. From the dungeon, the rumor is stirring. this time, oh, the set keys they're turning, and outside there are faces of friends. Though your body lays weary from wasting, and your eyes show the sorrow they've had. Oh, the love that your heart is now tasting has opened the gate. Be glad, be glad, oh, be glad. Every debt that you ever had has been paid up and full by the grace of the Lord. Be glad, be glad, be glad.
So lovely. Thank you. Really lovely. And it does speak to what we're called to do, which is to be glad. Not about conditions, but to be glad of heart, right? And it's from that glad of heart that healing takes place. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much. You did a wonderful job on that song. I know you've been working hard on it so that we could, so it would be as beautiful as it is, just like you. So thank
Thank you.
you. Just like you. Thank you, Jerome.
Let's see some.
Yeah. So I was just texting Robert to see how my lighting is. Sorry if it's different from the past. It's just I don't have them all on because it's so hot right now, and all the lights just create such heat. So I'm going to go with it's perfect right now, even though my coloration is a little red. It's just the lighting. It's not me overheating. So as you just heard in the song that you're on saying, he used the word Lord. And today you will hear some words that speak of the power of the divine that seem antiquated and certainly of a religious orientation that we don't practice here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles and practicing the science of mind. I honor each and every one of you to know that we have all evolved in a way that when we hear those words or hear the power of the divine referenced with gender, that it's only for the purpose of the message. It's not to revert back to any old ideology. And so I just give you that forewarning, if you will. So, what a week, right? What a wild week that we've been on. It just seems like over the last several years, I've said that a lot on a Sunday morning. Like, wow, what a week. I know over the last few days and following a group of ministers that I'm part of on social media, there's all this scrambling and freaking out of what kind of message to present today to make sure that it's on point. And as I said, we've said, wow, what a week over the last few years for so often. And the adaptation has been a requirement along, whether it's been Charlottesville or the COVID lockdown or George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or civil unrest around the country or right after January 6th happened or the war in Ukraine or the mass shootings in churches or schools. The list goes on and on, and it's tiring, I know, for all of us, including me as well, and definitely difficult on these days to remember how to engage in the philosophy and faith and way of life known as the science of mind. And here we are once again on a dark, very dark day in the history of our country. How heartbreaking and disheartening and maddening and shocking to see and or hear the news of the Supreme Court of the United States of America overturning the almost 50-year federal law of Roe versus Wade. In 1 week, we had the Supreme Court's making decisions that will live in infamy of the decision relative of the free to carry relative to firearms, while at the same time wanting to force the carry of children and babies for women. I know that many of you are experiencing the same emotions that I have experienced this week, and that they're ringing true of outrage and disbelief and anger and befuddlement and fear on this very day. I saw a couple of days ago this image that I think speaks so loudly now. And if you were to be able to imagine it as the words that used to pop up over Batman's head, and this particular word, in this very comic-y, cartoony way, is a word we're all familiar with. It starts with F and ends with K, and you put exclamation points behind it. I'm not going to say it out loud, but we can say K. And I share that with us today because it was a minister that posted that, and it said amen, and so it is. And following these comic book pop art expressions of this word, this four-letter word, is a quote from Mark Twain that reads, "Under certain circumstances, profanity provides a relief, denied even to prayer." My goal today for us, and my objective is, as I said before, to provide comfort and a science of mind lesson, a message, if you will, without moving into or creating spiritual bypass. Now, that is a very modern day term, but what it means is to deny the facts. And there certainly was part of the evolution of the teachings of New Thought and Science of Mind specifically would be to not look at facts, to only live in truth. And that in and of itself had its place in the evolutionary process of who we are as a philosophy, faith, way of life, a teaching. But we all know that that's also moving into a state of delusion. And so today I invite us to be able to create this state of mind where there is a balance of the facts and being able to move into the state of knowing, the state of depth of awareness, of wisdom, while feeling emotions of those that have been labeled just a moment before, and give ourselves space to feel those emotions and to grieve, really. To grieve not only what was, but grieve any sense of security that we had, to grieve this really horrible feeling of someone having power or control over the body or any aspect of us, and also grieve any sense of security of what may yet is to come. Today, my goal and objective is to provide for us a new thought in how we're using our co-creative power while still feeling, while still leaning into the ability to feel. Our theme for the month, as Yaron spoke of earlier, is this little light of mine. And it still rings true that the lyrics are a calling, a heed from above for each and every one of us, which is this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. For everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine. For we will sing in peace, we will sing in harmony. For this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And that is what we're called to do today, even though it may be in the act of protest, even though it may be in the act of anger, even though it may be in an act of disbelief, to let our light shine, remembering that the acronym for light is living in God's healing truth. In working to prepare for today, I do as I so often do, I sit and listen to music, either prior to sitting down and preparing or during the act of preparation. It's either that or cooking shows. And yesterday as I was preparing, I listened over and over and over again. I get emotional just thinking of listening to it over and over again, a song that we're all familiar with in its traditional presentation and recording, written by Carole King, called You've Got a Friend. But this particular version is from this fabulous metaphysical New Thought artist who also is a legend in the modern day music world. Her name is Nikki Harris, and she was one of the background performers with Madonna throughout her years, and she also does great soulful music, and she presents this song that is a compilation of old spiritual, while at the same time the lyrics of You've Got a Friend, and I'm going to read them to you today to Let you know where my mindset landed as I began being contemplative on what to talk about today. I'm not going to sing them to you as she does, but I will read them to you in the same style. When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care and nothing's going right, close your eyes and concentrate on God. And soon He will be there, right by your side, to brighten up even your darkest night. For we used to sing in my house. You just call out my name, and wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. For it might be winter, spring, summer, or fall. For all you got to do is answer the call. For God is right there. Yes, He is. And He will be right there. For God is your friend. Now, girl, if the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds and that old north wind begins to blow, keep your head together and call God's name out loud. Yes, she will. Yes, she will. And soon she will be right there by your side. My mama used to say, "Precious Lord, take my hand. Lead me home wherever I am. Let me stand, for I am tired. And I get a little weak, for I know the Lord will take me through the storm, through the night. Come on, lead me on through the night. For God is right there. Yes, He is. God is your friend. I know it. God is your friend. I know He's your friend. You got a mighty, mighty good friend there. For I learned it from my father. You've been a good friend to my father. For that friend, God, is holding you. That friend, God, is guiding you. That friend, God, is a mighty, mighty good friend." These words comforted me yesterday as they do today. Appreciating even the old spiritual context of them. Even leaning into the genderification of the divine in the way that it was presented, while still remembering with every fiber of my being this power that we speak of as an impersonal, omniscient, omnipresent, all creative power. That no matter what takes place in the external world, also not giving us an excuse or a reprieve from participating in making change in the world. But to remember what it is foundationally as teaching students of the science of mind in regards to what we believe. Two of the declarations of principles that I believe rings true here in this moment are these, and it's this: we believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. It's calling upon that God as a friend, not friend as in the traditional sense of the human friend or the canine friend or the feline friend, but the friend of that ever-present presence that's got our back, baby. It's that universal spirit. It's that non-judgmental, always available power within us that is lying in smiling repose, saying, "Use me in these times of discomfort and chaos." And not solely during those times, but during those times, use me. Demand, I release and I let go. I let Spirit run my life. Let this power of the Spirit provide us with a higher way of being. The second declaration of principles is we believe that the universal Spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. Right now, that act of thought can simply be, use me. Because it's important to remember that at this very fundamental level, we are living in a healing, revealing, evolutionary time. And to remember that what shows up in life sometimes that seems shocking and ill-fated and confusing as to what may be considered a higher idea making itself known, that there's always a higher idea working itself out. In researching for what I had to share with you today, I came across an article that I wrote many, many years ago when I was the leader of the church on La Cienega, titled, "God's Delays Are Not God's Denials." It began talking about I had received a response from one of my mentors after reaching out to her to be consoled in regards to a conference I had applied to that needed approval to come in for ministers, and I was denied access for this ongoing education program, saying that I didn't meet the specific criteria. And it really burned me. It hurt. It knocked me off my game for a few days, and it made me ask, why was this happening to me? Much like many of us as a collective may be saying in regards to what's unfolding in the world today. But in this article, what is written that I think is so profound and appropriate for us today is this: God's delays are not God's denials. Now, this statement is so profound, not just because it came to me from someone I cherish, the Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt, follow and love as a teacher. And I often say that she speaks to me as God speaking to me. But it's profound because it's a spiritual truth. So often in our teaching, we're taught to include in our affirmative prayers words such as this or something better. However, many of us, if not all of us, want to define or outline how and what we want the creative principle of life to deliver as a demonstration or a manifestation. We want to tell the divine how, in essence, how our experiences of life should show up. My idea of how is in and of itself such a restricted approach to using what is offered to us as our part of an unrestricted creation equation. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the teachings of the Science of Mind, informs us that we are to live with the faith of God, not a faith in God. This distinction is critical in the evolutionary process of our spiritual journey. Do you think a tree tells God how to make it grow and how tall it wants to be? Or when it is to grow leaves? We know the answer to that. Of course not. Then why do we want to get in the way and not trust the process of our own spiritual growth? For that is what is unfolding right now. No matter what events, circumstances, or conditions may show up in form, in life, that we see on the news or read about, or that has impact on us in our lives, it all really comes down to where we're at in the process of our spiritual growth. Another one of my spiritual mentors, Reverend Dr. David Alt, wrote this in a blog called "Solution Already Exists. The person you long to be, you already are." He posted this memory, and I'm going to read the memory to you, of a Facebook post appeared today as I was learning of the U.S. Supreme Court's overruling of Roe versus Wade. And the post, the memory that had been posted on June 24th, the original post, June 24th, 2013, says this: Our freedom lies in proportion to our inclusion of ourselves. We must start within. We must uphold our own rights first: the right to worth, the right of belongings, the right to turn the other cheek back to love. The real, then real law, universal law, will unfailingly reflect all of that back. He writes in his post the other day, in regards to this memory popping up. I'm continuously, and I believe this rings true for all of us, I'm continuously witnessing my own behavior around the nature of yin yang, the principle of polarity, and how this materialization of dark light continues to influence our collective belief systems. I've observed how easy it is for me to champion the seminal belief that everything is God, i.e., perfect patterning, when nothing in the human game feels threatening. I observe how tangled my assurance becomes when the yin seems to far outweigh the yang. And this interactive nature within life doesn't stop, at least in this plane of form. So, what does one do with this destabilizing cycle of suffering, of oppression, of inequality? I think we heed the call to listen to the voice celestial within. Our own beloved Wendy Waris posted, I believe yesterday, on social media, John Lewis is on my mind. He exhorted us to make good trouble. Let's never forget that. The question that we have today for ourselves as we continue to ride this ride of the principle of polarity, of the yin, the yang, the dark, the light, to experience the destabilizing cycle of suffering, oppression, and equality, is to ask ourselves, what does making good trouble mean to us individually? To you as a student of this teaching, to you as an awakened being, to you as an evolved conscious person, to you as a conscious evolutionist. Ernest Holmes tells us that we're continuously living a new life. And when the old and the new do not fit nicely together, the old, no longer able to contain the new, should be discarded. I think it's important for us to remember that that which was handed down this week as an overturning of a previous law comes from an old ideology of patriarchy. It's an old ideology of hanging on to that which is considered of a supreme way of living. It's hanging on to a life of white male dominance. But we're called to good trouble, remembering that good, in this particular context for sure, is a synonym for God, for God's trouble, stirring up that which is within us, that power that we have within us, which is the capacity to create and invoke change. It can look like us marching or voting or being an inspiration or working to make a difference, to simply honor, listen, to educate ourselves, and then to lean in what it is that we know to be true. For you got a friend. And then to give ourselves permission to think a higher thought. What I keep landing back on is that we're called to be a participant in conscious evolution, to not only hold a new vision for the future, but to participate in that vision. If we break down the yin and yang, we can look at it as pieces. For the circle that's white on the inside is good. If we look at it as a circle that's dark on the inside, it's considered the bad. If we break it up in half and see the white side with the circle of black inside of it, that's the bad in the good. If we reverse that and see the half of the circle that we all know the image of the yin-yang symbol, that is black with the circle of white in it, that's the good in the bad. So we have the good, we have the bad in the good in the bad, and then when you put it together, it's called life. It's called life. It's called that experience of the thing itself doing its thing through individuals and the collective consciousness. and the structure of the world in which we live. It's time to make good trouble. Where do we start? The great Barbara Marx Hubbard tells us this: the path of the co-creator as a conscious evolutionist is to be spiritually awakened within, which then turns into your own deeper life purpose, which then makes you want to reach out and touch others in a way that expresses self and really evolves our communities and our world. Certainly we can't do that unless we activate ourselves first. That's why for me, emergence is the shift from ego to essence. That's so important. Clearly, what we are experiencing in our world today is an overpowering abundance of ego wanting to move out through darkness, the light of emergence. But we're called to be the torchbearers of the light. Ernest Holmes says a human's life is incomplete unless they add the engineer to the engine, unless they add the perceiver to the thing perceived, the artist to the art, the creator to creation. We're here to continue to step into evolution. Evolution, in and of itself, is the passing of thought into manifestation. To put it another way, all is infinite being and all is eternally becoming. Infinite being, and this is a lot, so be prepared, infinite being is infinite knowingness. As the result of infinite knowingness, there is an infinite becomingness or creation. This infinite knowingness produces what is called involution through the self-contemplation of spirit. As a result of this contemplation, the word is made known. Creation is made manifest. This is evolution. Evolution is the process, the way, the time, and the experience that transpires as thought or intelligence or idea or contemplation, then passes from abstract being into concrete expression. Consequently, evolution is an effect of intelligence and not the cause of it. Evolution is not creating intelligence. Intelligence is projecting evolution. So the question that we each have for ourselves today, as we heed the call for good trouble, is how can we use our stamp of individuality's intelligence, which is the intelligence of the divine or God, in a way that is propagating evolution. We're here today to become more and more of a conscious evolutionist. I'm going to share an article with you that's also quite heady, but I think important, regarding conscious evolution. We believe that the concept of conscious evolution can be a vehicle for collaboration, advancing our collective growth towards a world that feels more aligned with what's in our hearts. When we make the conscious choice to evolve, our thinking, our behavior, and our lifestyles will align to create more nurturing harmony for ourselves and the world around us. Conscious evolution feels like the best course for bringing about a healthier and more sustainable future for all. Let's remember that the current phase of our human evolution began 150,000 or so years ago and stems from over 4 billion years of life emerging on planet Earth. Whether we are aware of it or not, we are evolving as we speak, along with everything on Earth and in the universe. Given the hyper development of technology and its exponential growth, our evolution is gaining speed at our own hands as we steadily move towards merging with the machines we've created. Conscious is defined as as a deliberate and intentional act, being fully engaged, aware of oneself, our surroundings, and the impact we are making. Evolution is the infinite process through which the whole mass of interrelated phenomena in the universe are developing through descent, that evolution, leading to a new, more complex biological, social, economic, and institutional forms. What is it asking or telling us? Barbara Marx Hubbard says it's telling us to remember that every person who says, I know I can be more, I can do more, or the world does not have to be this way, is an imaginal cell in the emerging culture of humanity. Today, I encourage you to act, to be a conscious participant in whatever way that serves your soul in response to what's transpiring in our country, on our planet, in our universe today. And to begin within. To start within in your own heart. To imagining an emerging culture of humanity. That a higher idea is making itself known to us and through us, and that we are not about the business of the effects, but we're about the business of cause, while still doing our part as humans to create good trouble and making a difference. It's important to remember in this time, no matter how you're feeling, that when going within, to trust the timing of your life, to do your best to stay patient, to stay calm, even though you may be in a state of emotionally driven feelings, to stay determined, to stay focused, and most of all, to trust your journey. I close with this beautiful prayer, which seems to be somewhat antithetical to how we do spiritual mind treatment. But I invite us to hear it in a way that is declarative. Dear God, remembering that power is whatever it is to you. Enlighten what's dark in me. Strengthen what's weak in me. Mend what's broken in me. Bind what's bruised in me. And heal what's sick in me. And lastly, revive whatever peace and love has died in me. Let's all take a deep breath in and use our imagination to believe that we're creating a group hug together today. Whether you're joining us through Zoom or Facebook or later on YouTube, as we put our arms around one another and hug each other tight and tighter, we feel the heartbeat of one another, which is a reminder of the interconnectedness that we all share. This too shall pass, these dark days, as we let the emerging light within us shine. Remember to be love and to be loved on the journey as we choose to make a difference and start within. Know that I love you, and I know that you love me, and that's the perfect place to begin. I thank you, and I invite Yaron back to take us on another musical journey. Yaron?
Here we go. When I find myself in time of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she's standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree that there will be an answer, let it be. And though they may be parted, there's still a chance that they might see that there will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there's still a chance that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music, and Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I love that little piano part at the end while you were going so high. What a great metaphor for the spiritual ascension, to go deep into your soul, into those lower keys on the piano and higher up in your vocal range. So, you being God. You're wrong. You being God.
just channeling him through music, right?
Channeling it through music, yes. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here today.
My
And a
pleasure.
big congratulations on all the new wonderful stuff that's taking place in your life in Orlando, Florida with the Disney company. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so thank you, thank you. So a big thank you to Yaron, a big thank you to Travis, a big thank you to Robert Hensley for all supporting us today, a big thank you to all of you for being here. Know that we continue this week with our weekly meditation, midweek meditation. Feel free to join us. You can get all of that information along with our text, daily texts that go out each day on our website, csl-la.org, as well as our app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, as well as you can follow us on all of our various social media sites, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram for sure. Also, if you would like to support us financially, please go to our website, csl-la.org, and you can click on donate, and that'll give you the opportunity to do that. I want to thank you all for being here today, and know that no matter where you're joining us from, you indeed make a difference, and that as a being of the light of the divine, you have the power to make a difference in life itself. And so while you give yourself permission during these troubled times to lean into your feelings and to lean on each other, also remember that the indwelling presence of the divine is here for you and as you. Once again, I'm going to let you all go to the website on your own to make a donation if you'd like to do that. And you can go to csl-la.org, and we're going to close out with a meditation. And so, just feeling gratitude for the opportunity to come together. And to take a moment and to honor all who have come together in houses of worship, in communities today to heal, some even coming together to celebrate. But let's remember our role here. It's said the fastest way to spiritually ascend is to immediately forgive yourself and all others for any negative past actions. Release any past anger. Drop all heavy guilt. Let go and rise into the higher realms. Be more loving every moment. Consciously choose to wish peace and enlightenment for all beings. And then repeat it. And repeat it. And repeat it. Remembering that we lit this candle today, honoring all women, remembering the declaration that we each shared of I hear you, I see you, I honor you, I respect you, your presence matters, you matter. As we extinguish this flame, let's let it be a symbol that it lights within each and every one of us our own flame, and that we let it shine, and let it shine, and let it shine. And so it is. May you have a beautiful, blessed day. Remember to make a difference. Remember that you make a difference. And to remember to live in love. And to remember that we each have within us this power of love and beauty, joy and peace, and power, light and life and love and wisdom. Let's let it guide us as we continue our journey. Thank you for being present. And make it a great day.